أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. أما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for giving us an opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He bestows upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided. Anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is Sunday, the 14th day of Dhul Hijjah, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which also corresponds with, I believe, with the second day of July 2023. In the last session, we spoke about the Islam of Hamza. And Hamza happens to be an uncle to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was also a brother to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam through breastfeeding, because the same woman who breastfed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by name Thuwayba also breastfed Hamza. And we know of an authentic hadith where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, so the daughter of Hamza, he told them, hiya la tahillu li, she is not, permissible for me. They said, Hamza is your uncle, so she's your cousin. He said, yes, even though Hamza is my uncle, but he's also my brother through breastfeeding. And then whatever blood relations, prohibit in terms of marriage, breastfeeding also prohibits. The Islam of Hamza came with it a shift in the dynamics of the Meccan political struggle. Because the kuffar of Mecca, they realized that Islam came to just topple everything down, upside down. Because if Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that everybody is equal, and the Meccan system was drafted on a status system where we have high class citizens, we have middle class citizens, we have low class citizens, and then we have the slaves and stuff like that. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying there is no difference between an Arab and an Arab. There is no difference between a white colored person and a black colored person. There is no difference between a master and a slave. Then this is serious business for them. In that, whirlwind, Hamza accepts Islam. And the acceptance of Islam, of Hamza's acceptance of Islam, really changed the dynamics of Makkah. Because they understand that now they cannot bully the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as they used to, because Hamza, they know who he is in Makkah. Hamza don't play. He doesn't play games. He's a serious guy. They knew definitely. And the Islam of Hamza, when we go back to the last class, he was called Sayyad al-Usud, the hunter of lions. So look at the desert, Makkah, but he goes out there into the desert hunting. So one day he came back from hunting, and then, a bondwoman of Abdullah ibn Jud'an told him, Ya Hamza, Ya Aba Ambara, if you see what Abu Jahl did to your nephew Muhammad, he called him all kinds of names, he insulted him, he berated him, but Muhammad didn't say anything to him. Hamza just rushed to where he knew he would find Abu Jahl, and then he used his bow and struck his head with it, and Abu Jahl's head split open, and the blood was oozing out. Abu Jahl's boys were around. They wanted, your homies and then your squad want, they want to get up and say, no, what happened? And they saw Hamza, they were like, no, this guy don't play game, man. And Abu Jahl told them, hey, relax, guys. You know this guy. He doesn't play game. And what I did to his nephew is uncalled for. And Hamza told him, if you're man enough, do to me what I've done to you right now. He couldn't. And Hamza told him, Atashtumuhu wa ana ala dini? Do you berate him and insult him when I, Hamza, am on his deen? When Hamza left, The other guys were like, you see, Abu Jahl, you see what you've caused us? Hamza was not with him, so we had the leeway to do whatever we want to do. Now that Hamza is in his team, he is on his team, this is going to be serious business. So Hamza's acceptance of Islam really changed the dynamics of Makkah. What happened? They realized now persecution and torture is not the way. So now they brought in diplomacy. Now let's see if we could negotiate with him. No, let's sit with him. Let's discuss things now. So Ibn Ishaq narrates that one day the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sitting next to the Kaaba after the Islam of Hamza, and then the kuffar were also sitting in their clubs, and then Utbah to Ibn Rabi'a told them, Ya qawm, O my people, Ala aqumu ila Muhammadin fa ukallimuhu. Don't you think that I should go to Muhammad and I speak to him? وَأَعْرِضَ عَلَيْهِ أُمُورًا لَعَلَّهُ يَقْبَلُ بَعْضَهَا. And then, I petition to him, I present, some terms to him. Maybe he's going to accept them. And this is a big lesson to those of us in da'wah. Anytime you're doing da'wah, and people find it that, no, this da'wah is going against their whims and their caprices, they want to negotiate with you. And what is the negotiation? They want to give you sweet terms, beautiful things, so that what? You stop speaking about shirk. You stop speaking about bid'ah. You stop speaking about false ideologies and corrupt systems. And that's what they wanted to do with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they thought that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is just, a new political guy in the neighborhood who wants to be known and then get some position, maybe get some money. Maybe he's seen some girl around that, he wants to get married to her. So he just needs to shake the system and everybody will just say, okay, let's give him what he wants. He said, لَعَلَّهُ يَقْبَلْ بَعْضَهَا فَنُعْطِيَهُ أَيَّمَا شَاءَ. And then we give him whatever he wants. And what do we want from him? فَيَكُفَّ عَنَّا. So that Muhammad keeps quiet on us. Our Allata and Uzza and Manata, he stops speaking about them. Our shirk and our bid'ah, he stops speaking about them. Our worshipping of graves, he stops speaking about them. Our bid'ah, he stops speaking about them. Our affiliation with all these liberal ideologies and all these alphabet community, he stops speaking about them. This is what they wanted from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He should stop speaking. He should keep quiet. And you know very well that corrupt ideologies and corrupt systems don't want you to speak about them. They want to silence you. They want to keep you quiet. They'll cancel you, as you have in America, and there's cancel culture. If you want to go against a political ideology now in America and then you are a celebrity or you are someone who is big, they go after you on Twitter, they go after you on Facebook, they go after you in social media, they cancel you, they block you, they take away your accounts, they block you off Google, they take you out completely, they smear you. There's this movie, if you have time, watch it. It's called Enemy of the State. And the star actor is Will Smith. Just watch the movie and see when you go against an established ideology, what they are willing and ready to do to you. And this didn't start today. It started since the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then Ibn Ishaq in this hadith says, وَذَلِكَ حِينَ أَسْلَمَ حَمْزَةَ. They only sought to negotiate with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when Hamza accepted Islam. So Hamza's acceptance of Islam really brought a change in the dynamics of Makkah. And as we said in our last class, powerful people should be sometimes our targets in what? In doing da'wah. Because these people can sway, the flow. And we made examples. If some of these celebrities, sometimes when they come out publicly and say they are Muslims, it draws people's attention. We are not saying that is what is best for us. No, Islam is what is best for them. With them or without them, Islam is going to grow. But then without Islam, they have no place. I saw an interview of Dave Chappelle with this journalist, David Letterman. And then Dave Chappelle said, I'm a Muslim. I said, true? He said, yes, I'm a Muslim. When did you become a Muslim? He said, I became a Muslim at the age of 17 years. Even though I'm not perfect at it, but then I'm a Muslim, I'm a devout Muslim. In one of his comedy shows, he's drinking and smoking on stage, and then he was complaining about, the establishment of, showbiz in America. He said, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke because I was a devout Muslim, but then you people turn me into this. Even though I don't agree with that statement that people turn him into, drinking or smoking, but I'm only making a point that when he came out publicly to say he's a Muslim, he used to have transgender jokes for a long time, but they didn't come after him. But the moment he came out publicly that I'm a Muslim, they realized, no, this guy, we need to do something about him. So powerful people are targets in da'wah, because when these people accept Islam, there is a sway in people's thoughts and ideology. So Hamza's acceptance of Islam had that effect in Mecca. وَرَأَوْا أَصْحَابَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ their Islam were now coming out publicly. The big guys who had accepted Islam secretly are now coming out because Hamza has made his Islam public, and they know who Hamza is. فَقَالُوا بَلَا يَا أَبَا الْوَلِيدِ. He said, Abu al-Walid, no problem. Go and talk to Muhammad. So Abu al-Walid went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he said, Yabna akhi, oh my brother's son, meaning my nephew. Innaka minna haythu qad alimta min as-satatati fil ashira. He said, my son, you know how well placed you are in the community. And it happens when they come to speak to you, Imam, you know how we love you in this community. You know how nice you are. But nowadays, your khutbah, there is too much punch in it. You speak too much. They first lay the foundation for you to make you feel important in the community. You know how important you are. You know you come from a big family. You know you have a high place, a high standing in us. وَإِنَّكَ قَدْ أَتَيْتَ قَوْمَكَ بِأَمْرٍ عَظِيمٍ. But then you came with something very, very serious. فَرَّقْتَ بِهِ جَمَاعَتَهُمْ. You split our community into two. وَصَفَّحْتَ بِهِ أَحْلَامَهُمْ. What you brought has made the wise ones amongst us look foolish. وَعِبْتَ بِهِ آلِهَتَهُمْ وَدِينَهُمْ. What you have come with insults their gods and then their religions. وَكَفَّرْتَ بِهِ مَنْ مَضَى مِنْ آبَائِهِمْ. And then that is also an insult to their fathers who are gone. If you observe these things that Utbah is telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then you look into our community now, you realize that it is the same thing that is going on. You want to be on Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are splitting the community, man. We are all Muslims. Why are you saying you are Ahlus Sunnah? Why? Why are you saying you are Sunnah? We are all Muslims, man. If you say you are Sunnah, what does it mean? We are all Muslims. No. Yes, we are all Muslims, but you chose to do bid'ah. We are all Muslims, but you chose to worship a grave of your sheikh. We are all Muslims, but you choose to do this and this and that. And when we go back to the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or we go into the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't sanction this. He didn't tell us to do this. So who is now splitting the ummah? Me or you? وَصَفَّحْتَ بِهِ أَحْلَامَهُمْ. Doing this is insulting or making the wise people among them look foolish. Why are you going against the establishment? This is what the shuyukh have said. This is what the old people in the deen are saying. This is what the Maulana and the Marabut are saying. We have these problems. When you come out to speak about the Sunnah, and then there's an old man who is 80, 90 or 100 years, who is not on the Sunnah, is on Bid'ah, they tell you, where were you born? When were you born? I quite remember I was praying next someone in one of the countries in West Africa, no need to mention the name of the country. And then, in Tahiyya at Salam, he had his, two hands on his thighs. So looking at the right, he said, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You know me, curious. I asked him, I have a question. He said in Salah, I saw you do Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu. And I don't know it. And so I'm asking, is there any dalil? He said, hey, I've been praying Salah long before your mother was even married. Keep quiet and let me be. I said, oh, okay, no problem. So people feel that in the deen, so long as someone is an old person in the deen, and he's doing something that is enough dalil or evidence. No. Abdullah ibn Abbas, when the Prophet died, he was only 13 years old. 2 years later, when he was 15, when Umar ibn Khattab took over the reins of the Ummah, Umar will bring him into the cabinet meeting. And some of the older Sahaba will be like, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why do you bring this boy in amongst us when we have sons older than him? And Umar will say, I have a reason why I bring him. So they persisted. So one day he said, okay, no problem. This is going to be just a little debate between you and him. He said, why do you think the Almighty Allah revealed إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ? And the older guys were like, because, the deen, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the community is now expanded, and then the mercy, and then the victor of the Almighty Allah has come. And then he asked Abdullah ibn Abbas, why do you think the Almighty Allah revealed? He said, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ is a sign that the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was imminent. Said why? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ, if the victory and the conquest and the mercy of the Almighty Allah comes. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, and then you see people entering the deen in groups. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرُهُ, and then you supplicate, you thank the Almighty Allah. And then he said, after all this, if people are entering Islam in drones, what next is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam supposed to do in the dunya? His work is finished, that's it. And then Umar said, yes, I also think that's the reason why, the Almighty Allah revealed his surah. And the big guys were like, no, okay, we agree. His knowledge of dalil is more important. He said, فَاسْمَعْ مِنِّي أَعْرِضَ عَلَيْكَ أُمُورًا تَنْظُرْ فِيهَا لَعَلَّكَ تَقْبَلُ مِنْهَا بَعْضَهَا. He said, this is the problem that you've caused. You split the ummah. You made the wise ones amongst us look foolish. You are insulting our deen. You don't give us the chance to do whatever we want to do. This is what we want to do. We are free to do whatever we want to do. And these are some of the ideologies we have today, that people believe in excessive freedom. No. When we say everybody is free to do whatever they want to do, there's not going to be, organization. We're not going to have any structures. We're not going to have a system in place, because when we come into the masjid, I will want to look back here and you will want to look in the front here, and someone says, no, let's look at the right side. It's not going to work that way. So this idea of I'm an independent, free person, no. This is a very wicked liberal ideology that has cost a lot of people their happiness. I'm free. I have my bank account. I have my home. I have my dog. I have my car. So that's why people die and then they leave millions to dogs, because they didn't live with human beings. Because the idea is you must be free, you must be independent, you must be able to do whatever you want to do. No, Islam is not like that. Islam is a communal religion, and Islam, we are all held accountable for whatever acts and whatever deeds we do. So you can't say, I'm free, independent person. No, none of us is independent. We are all dependent on each other for something, whether you like it or not. I'm here sitting and then, delivering the class. If you choose not to come, will I be speaking to the mats and the air conditioners and the fans? No. So we need each other for the class to happen. It's the same way in life. We need each other. Everybody needs somebody in life. And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, I'm listening. What times do you have for me? What have you brought? He said, Ya ibn akhi, in kunta innama turidi bima ji'ta bihi min hadha al-amri mala jama'na laka min amwalina hatta takuna aktharana malan. He said, listen, all this stuff that you are running around saying Allah money that you want, let us know. The richest person. And this is one of the most dangerous tools against anybody who is doing da'wah. If you're doing da'wah and then your sole aim is to make money, you will make money. but then you will lose your akhirah. And this is one of the things that is really, really affecting du'at of today. That people will send you all kinds of things, all kinds of, negotiations, all kinds of petitions, all kinds of stuff. Because they know maybe as an imam, things are not a little, not moving on well. So why don't they, okay, no problem. We're going to sign you up on so and so, and then you only speak about this, you only speak about this. Your khutbah should only be about this and that, and then it is listed for you. End of the month, we give you 100,000. I said, okay, no problem. I'll take it and then I'll do that. No. Some people had said, okay, when the kuffar of Makkah made that offer to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why didn't he accept their money and then later use it to build an army to fight them? No, the world will remember the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as what? As a cheat. Within that context of torture, when Utbah is a big man in Mecca, when he brought that proposition, it was easy way out for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He could have accepted it, get all the money in Mecca, be the secretary of the treasury, and then have the money, do whatever he wants to do, and then later he comes back to Tawheed. This lesson today here is teaching us that as Muslims, not only as du'at, but as Muslims, the issue of compromise in our deen is very, very serious. And a lot of Muslims have fallen short here. Let's compromise, let's tone down a bit, let's water it down a bit. Let's find nicer words to say. I'm not saying that in dealing with people or in dealing in da'wah, you just open your mouth and then you say anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. There are sha'air, there are the spiritual symbols and signs of the deen that are non-negotiable. Tawheed is non-negotiable. Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is non-negotiable. Our aqidah is non-negotiable. Our manners and our characters are non-negotiable. But then we do da'wah with hikmah. We do da'wah in a way that is what? That will pull people closer to Islam rather than drive them away from Islam. He said, if it is money that you want, we'll gather all the money and then we'll make you the richest one amongst us. وَإِن كُنْتَ تُرُودِ بِهِ شَرَفًا, if it is you want status amongst us, سَوَّدْنَاكَ عَلَيْنَا, we will make you the most important person, the leader of the community. حَتَّى لَا نَقْطَعَ أَمْرًا دُونَكَ, we will get to a point whereby there is no decision that is going to be taken in Makkah without your approval. This is very sweet. It's very sweet that if it is leadership that you want to be, the most respected person in the community, when you are coming and say, Assalamu alaikum, you're welcome. If there's any decision to be made in Makkah, you have the final say. It's sweet, man. You think I only want it? But then this is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he's laying down for us what? A lifestyle for us to follow. And then he said, وَإِن كُنْتَ تُرِيدِ بِهِ مُلْكًا مَلَّكْنَاكَ عَلَيْنَا. Okay, fine. It's not about that status. You want to be the king of Makkah? We'll make you the king of Makkah. And then the final one, which is very, very insulting, he said, وَإِن كَانَ هَذَا الَّذِي يَأْتِيكَ رِئْيًا تَرَاهُ لَا تَسْتَطِيعُ رَدَّهُ عَنْ نَفْسِكَ طَلَبْنَا لَكَ الطِّبِّ. If what you are seeing, because I heard they say you see some things, if what you are seeing is something that scares you and frightens you, it means you are sick up here. So we'll use our money and then we'll find the best doctors so that they cure you. And then all this while, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was quiet. Quiet. He didn't say anything. He didn't interrupt him. And this is one of the asalib of doing da'wah. One of the ways of doing da'wah. When someone comes and then he's speaking, listen to him. Let him say whatever he has. When he finishes, then you respond. Not only in da'wah, in everyday conversation. When you're speaking with someone and the person is talking, don't interrupt them. It's our etiquette as Muslims. Listen to the person. Let him finish. When he's done, even ask him politely, are you done? Can I come in? Yes. That is our deen. But then, what happens? Two Muslims are speaking and they're interrupting each other, and then it turns into a whole argument, and then in the end they end up punching each other in the face. No, that is not our deen. That is why anytime you have that position of listening to someone in any argument, in any debate, in any conversation, when you listen to the person, you are better positioned to what? To understand what the person is saying, and if you have something to respond back, you respond back. And sometimes it is not everything that you need to respond back to. Sometimes someone sends me a question and I tell him I don't know. That's it, because it's something that I don't need to respond to. Someone said, I think someone, I don't know, someone said me, he said, the ram that Ibrahim والسلام, used to slaughter in place of Ismail, what color was it? What's the color of the ram? At first I was furious. I was like, what's that? And I sent the audio back. I don't know. I wasn't there. He didn't invite me. And that's it. So it's not everything that you respond to. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's response to him is a clear example of how to respond to some things. Some things are so negative in life that you don't need to respond to them. Some people will make negative remarks to you in life. You don't need to listen to them. You can hear them. That is, open your ears, but close your heart to the message. Especially when you have toxic people around you. People who do not add any value to your life. People who do not add any progress to your life. Sometimes you don't respond to them. They speak, you hear, you say thank you. You move on. That's it. You leave them in suspense because they expect you to be furious. They expect you to be annoyed. They expect you to throw punches. But then you're quiet, you are calm. This irritates their demons. I tell you. When people are interested in pulling you down, bringing you down, by saying negative things to you, by saying bad things to you, by raising your blood pressure or wanting to pull you down, react in a way that will make them look foolish. And that is why Utbah told the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what you've brought has made the wise ones amongst us look foolish. Because when they insult the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he doesn't respond. When they persecute his companions, the companions were like, let's take arms. He said, no, don't take arms. So the kuffar of Mecca are confused as to how to deal with Muhammad ﷺ, because whatever they throw at him, whatever stones they throw, he uses them as what? Building blocks to build himself and make himself look relevant. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told him, Awama farakta ya Abul Walid. And look at this. The man's name is Utbah ibn Rabi'a. But the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't call him by his first name. He called him Abul Walid. Because even though he is a kafir, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is respecting his age, is respecting his position in the community. So as young people that we are coming up, it's very, very important we understand some of these etiquettes in the deen. Of course, we might be the imams here, but there are a lot of you here who are old enough to be our grandfathers. It's a fact. But the fact that I sit here to give the lecture, it doesn't mean that you who is sitting in front of me, you don't have any relevance, you don't have any importance. And this is some of the challenges that, young students of knowledge face today. Being able to step out of our shoes and stand aside and then see other people for the worth that they are. It's very, very challenging. For a young, person who is an imam or a scholar or a student of the deen to realize that no, there are people who have gray hair, people who are old enough to be our fathers and our grandfathers, even though we've gone to school, we've gone to study, we have the knowledge, but then there is also that part of experience. There's also that part of old age. And I always say this, that whatever the old man, it's an old African proverb. What the old man sees whilst sitting down the young man can never see even if he climbs the tall Iroko tree. It's a fact. What you see, yeah, we are young. We've not seen them. There are people who are in their 60s, 70s here. And those of us in our 30s, mid-30s, going to our 40s, what are we going to tell you about life? No, fine, you will come to us, we'll tell you something in the deen, we'll read the Quran, we'll read the Sunnah, but then sometimes we read some hadith and then you even understand it better than us. Because some of them are practical. So, the Prophet Muhammad is teaching us this, that even in engaging with a kafir, you must also accord him some level of respect, looking at his age and then his position and then his stature. You don't just open your mouth and then say anything anyhow in dawah. Dawah is marketing. And those of you who are in business, you know marketing is your tool to make money. If you don't have these marketing skills, your business is going to die. I'm not saying dawah is a business. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that we can pick some lessons from the marketers and then we look at it and then see that, no, we can pick something from this and then implement it in the way we do what we do our dawah. The Arabs, when they want to respect someone, they call him by his kunya. And the kunya is by calling you with your son's name. Instead of calling you Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we call you Abul Qasim, the father of Qasim. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in establishing that, said Abul Walid, the father of Walid. He didn't call him Utbah. He didn't say ya kafir. He didn't call him names. He said ya Abul Walid. Listen. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam read to him Surah Fussilat. And Surah Fussilat, if I'm not mistaken, is the 41st chapter in the Quran. Hamim, Tanzilu min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. كتاب فصلت آياته قرآنا عربيا لقوم يعلمون بشيرا ونذيرا فأعرض أكثرهم فهم لا يسمعون وقالوا قلوبنا في أكنة مما تدعونا إليه he read and read and read to him until he got to the page of إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا. Up to that end, Abul Walid was quiet. He put his hands behind him listening to the Quran. Imagine when we are in the Masjid here and then Shaykh Qasim is leading us in Salah and you listen to the Quran and then you feel it vibrating in you. Imagine the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reading the Quran to you. Imagine. Abul Walid was stupefied. He was quiet. The Quran was permeating through his body. And after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had done, he told him, قَدْ سَمِيتَ يَا أَبَا الْوَلِيدِ فَأَنْتَ وَذَاكَ. You've heard what I've told you. You've heard what I've read to you now. He said, you can do whatever you want to do. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't respond to all those allegations that he threw to him. You've split our community. You've made our wise ones look foolish. You've insulted our deen and our fathers. Sometimes you don't need to prove a point. In life, sometimes you don't need to prove a point. You don't need to respond to every criticism. You just have a big bag. When a criticism comes, put it in the bag. Just look at it, observe it and see, is it positive criticism that I can use to build myself, or is just someone who is just bitter? If it's positive criticism, pull it out, clean it, wash it, and put it in your right pocket. You will need it for the future. Excuse me. Alhamdulillah. And understand one thing. In life, you will be criticized, whether you like it or not. If people had problems with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you think people will not have problems with you? When they called him as-Sadiqul Amin, at a time whereby they were even persecuting him, they will come with him at night with their monies for safekeeping. Yes, that's what they did. They will insult him in the day. At night they will come to you and say, we don't believe in your deen, but we believe you, we trust you. I have this 100,000, keep it for me. And he keeps it for them. He doesn't drive them away. He doesn't insult them. You insult me in the morning, and then now you want me to keep your things safe for you. Get out here. No problem. I'll keep it for you. He labels it and then he keeps it for them. In the morning, they will go back and insult him. They never called him a liar. They never called him a liar. They never called him a cheat. What they did was they will call him a sorcerer. They will call him a magician. They will call him a madman. But then they never called him a liar. And they never called him a cheat because they knew who he was. As-Sadiqul Amin. So always let your true self come out. That is who you are. Your identity as a Muslim, your character, let it come out publicly. When you come out and then you have an ideology that you are pushing out there, and then they remember yesterday that you used to stand on your feet as a true person, your message becomes, successful. And thank you very much. This scenario with Utbah to Ibn Rabi'a, wallahi, it's a great lesson for all of us. Sometimes the challenges do not come to you in a form of these forms of, propositions. We'll give you money, we'll give you power, we'll give you position, Jazakallah khair. No, sometimes the challenges will come to you in terms of persecution. Sometimes the challenges will come to you in terms of insults. Sometimes the negotiations will come to you in terms of threats. That if you don't leave the deen, you're going to lose your house. Maybe it doesn't happen here, but then the Sahaba faced it. And I quite remember when the advent of Sunnah, in Ghana started, long before we were born, we were being told, even though later when we were born, we saw some of them where the moment you say you are now Ahlul Sunnah, they take your wife away from you. Because your wife is from one of them, they give you a wife. So the moment you say you are Sunni, no, you lose your wife. Yes, it happened. We know a lot of people who were told that their wives were taken away from them. The Imam of Ahlul Sunnah, Al Jama'ah, Sheikh Umar in Ghana, if he tells his story, sometimes we look at him and we're like, how did you survive? How? And it's a fact. There's a Sheikh Abdul Hamid in Cape Coast in Ghana. Cape Coast was a tough place. If you come to preach Sunnah there, they beat you and then drive you away. That's what they did. And Sheikh Abdul Hamid came, and strong man. I believe he's now in his 80s going to his 90s. There was a woman, you can't be calling at this time. He had gone for a dawah session, and there was a woman who slapped him. She literally slapped him. And people were like, he said, oh, leave her alone, leave her be. You know what happened? Years later, she became a Sunni. And when she sees him, she can't look in his face. And then he told her, why? I've even forgotten what happened. There's no need for you to feel ashamed. She said, no, it is a scar that I will go to the akhirah with. And I don't know if Allah will forgive me. So the persecutions will come. And especially now, in the type of world that we live in now, it's a whole different ball game. The ideologies that are being spat out there is dangerous for our aqidah and our iman. So if you do not have a deliberate, conscious sieve and guard to protect yourself and your family from what is being spat out there, as Muslims, in America now, Muslims, or even in the world, Muslims are now torn between two things. Do you align with the left or do you align with the right? Politically. The right, you have some ethical and moral, things in common. The left, they will open their doors for you, but the right doesn't want you to be a part of them. And that's a fact. So you Muslims, what is your position on this? It's and some of our scholars, they say we find them, they're here today, tomorrow they're here, they join these programs, they go to these places. It's a whole challenge for the Muslims of today. But then when we make our position known, for example, that's school board meeting in Dearborn. Google it or go to Facebook. Go and look for the school board meeting in Dearborn, Michigan. The school board brought in LGBTQ stuff in the school. They want to bring those books in there. And then they went for a school board meeting and the parents all trooped there and said, no way, we don't want this stuff. We don't want it. Vote them out. They said, vote the school board meeting out. Take them away, all the school board members. Because we don't want this stuff. We are Muslims. And Dearborn is 100% Muslim, if you know Michigan. You go to Hamtramck, the mayor and then the city council are all Muslims. And just last month, they had a vote whether to fly the pride flag, the rainbow color in Hamtramck. And the city council voted unanimously. They only recognize the United States flag. If you want to fly any private flag, fly it in your house, not on city buildings. So it became, a debate that Michigan is a blue state. And then they are fighting against some of the values of the blue party. I don't want to be political, but I just want you to understand that we are in a position in time now where as a Muslim, you need to look into the seerah to find what? To find ways through which you can live peacefully in your deen. Because these things that are happening today didn't start today. Because you can't say you're going to align yourself with this or align yourself with that. No. You as a Muslim, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. That is why the Almighty Allah made you what? A middle path deen. You don't align to the right and then you don't align to what? To the left. You have your core values. Let the right know these are our values. Let the left know these are also minorities and you have rights and then we need to join you to get our rights. No, it is Allah who is going to give us our rights. We will stay true to our deen and then we will get our rights. We don't need to align with anybody politically to get our rights. Muslims must understand that. And the key example of that is the Mormon community in this country. The Mormons. They don't ally with anybody. They have their stuff. They make it public. They say it. This is who we are. This is what we believe in. We don't accept this. Simple. And everybody respects them. The Amish community. This is who we are. This is what we want. This is what we demand. Everybody respects them. The Jewish community. This is who we are. This is what we want. And everybody respects them. Why are we Muslims, flip-flopping, jumping here and there? Why? Why? Let's come out publicly. This is who we are. This is our lifestyle. We are not infringing on anybody's rights. We are not fighting anybody, banging anybody away. We are not saying that people should not do whatever they want to do. Do whatever you want to do, but don't force it upon me. And I'm not going to force what I have on you. Live and let's live. Lakum dinukum waliya din. But then the moment we Muslims start to think, no, for us to be powerful, we need to align with this or align with that, or we need to come out, speak in a way. No. We don't compromise on our deen. And this is the legacy that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ left us. This is why the deen is still pure and pristine as it is up till now. But the moment we start to compromise, the moment we start to receive some monies, the moment we start to receive some positions, the moment we start to seek some recognition, it becomes problematic. Umar ibn Khattab said, Kunna adillah, fa'azzana Allahu bil Islam. We were weaklings and the Almighty Allah empowered us with Islam. If at any point in time we want to seek power not on the path of Islam, the Almighty Allah is going to bring us down. And this has happened to Muslims across the world. Across the world. Politically, look at the nations who say, we don't want to have anything to do with multi-party democracy. Their countries are running smooth. That we the Muslims, we said, no, we want to align. It is in the 21st century, and look at our nations. Look at our countries, what's happening to our countries. Bombarded, and we are the ones killing ourselves. I don't blame any foreign invader into any Muslim country. I don't blame them. There is a Ghanaian proverb that says, Abua bekanwa if you want to meme. It means if any insect will bite you, it is already in your clothes. If any insect will bite you, it is already in your clothes. How did it get there? So before anybody will invade you, you allowed it to fester in your country. If there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do us no harm. So until Muslims stand firm on the deen and put aside all these liberal ideologies and put aside all these feminist tendencies and all this compromise, we are in the 21st century. You know, the Quran is a 7th century book, 15 centuries ago. We need to look at it closely, and then we need to let it align with, 21st century values. So every century, if the values change, we need to change the Quran. Is that what you're telling us? No. So as Muslims, we have a guide. Our Quran and our Sunnah is our guide. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stuck to his principles. Utbah ibn Rabi'a came with beautiful petitions. He came with nice proposals, sweet, beautiful. If it is woman you want, we'll give you one. If it is money we want, we'll give you money. If it is position you want, we'll make you the king of Mecca. He said, no, I'm not interested in all those things. He read the Quran to him. After Utbah ibn Rabi'a listened to the Quran, he left the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On his way back to the kuffar, they looked at him from afar and they said, we've lost the debate. From his face, they said, look at him. He left here very confident, but he's coming back as if chicken has been beaten by the rain. He entered and then they said, okay, they said, Utbah ibn Rabi'a, your face looks like someone is chasing you. What happened? He said, what is behind me, what is chasing me is that I've listened to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's read something to me that I've never heard something like that before. That is the Quran. He said, I've never heard anything like the Quran. Ma huwa bishir. It is not poetry. Wala bisihr. It is not magic. Wala bil kahana. It is not soothsaying. This is the testimony of a non-Muslim to the Quran, an Arab person who was against the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But listening to the Quran, he realized that no, this book is serious business. And this is the beauty of the Quran. You cannot produce anything like the Quran. They tried it, they failed. It's like Musaylamatul Kadhab. Musaylama came and then he said he's also a prophet like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then they told him, okay, Muhammad has a Quran. He said, yes, I also have a Quran. Jibril visits me, he gives me wahi. And he said, we hear Muhammad recite his Quran. You recite yours too, and let's hear you. He said, Al-filu mal-filu, wama adraka mal-filu, lahu khurtumun tawilun wa dhaylun qasirun. He said, oh, elephant, what have you learnt about an elephant? It has a long trunk and then a short tail. And then they told him, Innaka ta'alam annana na'alam annaka kadhab. They said, you know very well that we know, that you yourself know that you are a liar. That's what they told him. That is the Quran. Utbah ibn Rabi'a said, this is not poetry. Because the kuffar of Mecca were orators. They were language masters. That was what they boast of. They boast of language. They boast of oratory. They boast of how to speak. And the Quran came and then it beat all of them. So they came and they said, no, this is not poetry. And this is not magic. Neither is it soothsaying. Ya ma'shara Quraysh. He said, oh Quraysh, listen to me. Ati'uni wa ja'aluha bi. Take my advice, and if there's any consequence, blame me. وَخَلُّوا بَيْنَ هَذَا الرَّجُلُ وَبَيْنَ مَا هُوَ فِيهِ. Leave Muhammad alone. فَاعْتَزِلُوهُ. Leave him alone. Let him be. فَوَاللَّهِ I swear by Allah, لَيَكُونَنَّ لِقَوْلِهِ الَّذِي سَمِعْتُ مِنْهُ نَبَوٌ عَظِيمٌ. This statement of his that I have heard from him right now, wallahi, that statement has something great in the future. فَإِن تُصِبْهُ الْعَرَبُ, if the Arabs overpower him, فَقَدْ كُفِيتُمُوهُ بِغَيْرِكُمْ, someone else other than you has done the damage for you. وَإِن يَظْهَرْ عَلَى الْعَرَبِ, but if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is successful over the Arabs, فَمُلْكُهُ مُلْكُكُمْ, his power is going to be your power. وَعِزُّهُ عِزُّكُمْ, his dominion is going to be yours. وَكُنْتُمْ أَسْعَدَ النَّاسِ بِهِ, and you are going to be the most successful people next to him because you are his community. قَالُوا سَحَرَكَ وَاللَّهِ يَا أَبَا الْوَلِيدِ بِلِسَانِ, he said, Utbah, Muhammad has charmed you. He's performed magic on you. You are the wisest person amongst us. And we knew that you were going to debate him and then you're going to defeat him. And then you come back defending the man. No, we don't believe it. He's charmed you. قال هذا رأيي فيه, he said, this is my opinion concerning Muhammad now. فَاصْنَعُوا مَا بَدَى لَكُمْ, do whatever you want to do. The lesson I pick here is that in our relationship with non-Muslims, in the da'wah that we do to non-Muslims, and even in the da'wah that we do to Ahlul Bid'ah, our Muslim brothers who are on Bid'ah, wallahi, it should be in a way that it will reduce their antagonism towards Islam and in the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a fact, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ, you can never guide who you want. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ, guidance is in the hands of the Almighty Allah. But then present your da'wah, present your message, present your case in a way that the non-Muslim, even if he or she doesn't accept Islam, the antagonism, the enmity that they have towards Islam and Muslims will be what? Will be toned down. And this is what happened with Utbah to Ibn Rabi'a. He didn't accept Islam, but then he went out there what? Defending Islam. And this is one of the greatest methods to use in doing da'wah. In the class, we said there's no compromise in the deen. It is true. But then, non-compromise doesn't mean the absence of using wisdom and clarity of message and good words in doing da'wah. Some people conflict the two. When we say non-compromise, it means I can say anything I want. No. In da'wah, you don't say everything you want. Let's understand this. You don't say anything. You don't just open your mouth to say, because I'm doing da'wah, I'm on the sunnah, and these people are on the bid'ah, curse them. No. Muslims must understand this. Imam Shafi'i says we are doctors. We are interested in eliminating the disease so that the sick person will survives. But in our da'wah today, we eliminate the disease and the sick person totally. We killed all of them. No, we don't do that. And this has been a challenge for us now. I disagree with you on one thing, I'm a kafir. Who taught us that? No. Just petty disagreement between Muslims, and then it turns into a whole barrage of insults and name calling and you know, chastisement and blackmailing and painting people down. And no, that is not our deen. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We don't compromise on that. Our etiquettes and our manners, we don't compromise on that. Our way of doing things, we don't compromise on that. But then again, we show respect to people. We are cordial in our relationship with them. But then we always draw a red line. This red line, you don't cross it. You let them know, you let them understand. Yes, some of us have family members who are not Muslims. Yes, no compromise. There is La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. You draw the red line. And then they will respect you. But if you are a Muslim who compromise, they drink, you're drinking with them. They smoke, you're smoking with them. They go clubbing, you go clubbing with them. And why are you going to the club? I'm going to do da'wah in the club. What kind of da'wah are you going to do in the club? There's no da'wah there. Let them be. Let them do whatever they want to do. And then when they come close to you, let the fragrance of Islam, come out of you. But then let them know, Muhammad, his deen is different, man. Muhammad is very strict on his Islam. No, you don't have to buy pork. Muhammad doesn't like pork. We need to respect him. Yes, you don't force yourself on them, but then you make them understand that this is who you are. This is your deen. This is how you practice it. This is who you are. And then they'll respect you. Wallahi, they will. No. Muhammad is here today. He's here visiting. No alcohol. Muhammad doesn't drink. Are you crazy, man? Take back the alcohol. Yes. They know you don't drink. They respect that. But then, if you come, oh no, I can take a glass. It's gone. So, our class today is the kuffar tried all things, all manners of ways to what? To entice the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam away from the deen. But then, because he is our role model and will be coming, those of us who are going to come back, or Muslims in general, will have a role model in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took that stance, and Almighty Allah saved the day for us. This is one of the ways that the kuffar use to try to break the da'wah. They use force, it didn't work. Now they're going to go through diplomacy. And this is what is happening now. The powers be are now using, subtle force. Okay, if you don't accept this, we will not give you aid. And this is what is happening across the world. You have to accept this or we won't give you aid. You have to accept this. You need to open your doors. You need to, you need to change some definitions. You need to change. We are now changing definitions. Yes. Love has a whole different meaning now. Now the word woman, we cannot define a word woman. If you say a woman is an adult female human, it becomes a whole problem. Yes, we can't define the word woman now. I've watched a lot of, Congress hearings here in America, and experts, PhD holders are asked, what is a woman? And they can't tell us what a woman is. They can't tell because there's an agenda. Because the moment you define who a woman is, an adult female who has XX chromosomes, it means you are eliminating the transgender men out of it. So they don't want, and now they want to change, have what they call it, unisex bathrooms, where all of us can use the same bathrooms. Or they want to put tampons in the male bathrooms because there are some men who say they are women and there are some women who say they are men. All this stuff is going on. Some of you are opening your eyes. Why are you looking? What's going on? Yes, that's what's going on. And if you do not, strengthen yourself in these thoughts and in these readings and all this is going on, you're home with your child and then they're seeing something different on the internet. They grow up and tell you, Daddy, I don't feel like I'm a boy anymore. I want to be a girl. Yes. This is what's happening. And it is a law in America that you cannot buy alcohol or tobacco unless you are 18, right? Yes, but in America today, if you are 4-year-old, you can change your sex. Yes, which is more serious. Tobacco smoking or sex change? Sex change. And this is what is going on now. So if you do not open your eyes well in the nurturing of your kids, and then you leave them to cable, you leave them to Hulu or Netflix or Disney Plus or HBO Max, you leave them to that. And then you are running around looking for dollars. Oh, they're home. They're watching cartoons. Even the animations now that are being produced by Disney Plus has all this filth in there. Yes. Even in animations, in cartoons, in what 4-year-olds watch, they have all those stuff in there. So, brothers and sisters, we live in very trying times. So please, don't run around behind the dollars and then you leave the kids with the television. Say, no, they're home. They are not on the streets. The homes now are more dangerous than the streets because of internet, because of television, because of all these networks that are running around. They don't care about you and I Because they know they're not going to get us. They know. They're looking for these ones. The 4-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, the 5-year-olds. In 10 years' time, in 15 years' time, they're 20, 25. That is the mindset that they have. You are dead and gone. It's a generational overhaul that is being done. And you are here, and then you think that you just go and get your dollars. May Almighty Allah safeguard us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salamu alaykum. We'll take some questions before, Now, Fadl. Now. Mm-hmm. Now.
But now, some areas, you see a brother, if one brother passed, the family will ask you to marry
his sister, his wife.
Or the wife died, she will marry his sister.
Now.
So how is that?
There's a question that in the beginning of the class, we made mention that يحرم من الرضاء ما يحرم منه النسب. The hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, family relations that prohibit marriage, breastfeeding can also prohibit marriage. So, for example, I cannot marry my sister, right? In Islam, it's not accepted because we came from the same womb or we have the same father, whether she's a stepsister or same parent sister. So this is the premise. But then let's take another woman. Our mothers and our fathers are not the same. But then my mother breastfeed her. The moment my mother breastfeed her, she has become like my biological sister. And the breastfeeding, according to the Sharia, should be 5 different times. And the 5 different times, each time must be a full breastfeeding. Not just one suckle, no. The baby should suckle until they are what? They are satisfied. 5 different times. If after the 5th time, she becomes my sister. I hope you get it. But after 1 time, there's no problem with that. 2nd time, no problem. 3rd time, no problem. 4th time, no problem. But the moment it happens, the 5th time, she becomes my sister and I cannot marry her. So that's it. Now, in some cultures, when I die, in some cultures, my brother is encouraged to marry my wife. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because know something. My brother's wife is not my wife. Sometimes some of you Africans, you have this culture. Oh, she's our wife. No. My wife is not our wife. She's mine. And mine alone. So stop using those terminologies. Hey, our wife. There's nothing like our wife. And then you see them holding her. Oh, our wife. You do that, I chop off your hand. That's just by the way. So, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith said, "Iyyakum wad-dukhulu ala an-nisa." You should be very mindful of the way that you go into women's spaces. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, afara'ayta al-hamu. Ya Rasulullah, what do you think about al-hamu? Al-hamu in the Arabic language means a relation of the husband. So the husband's brother, the husband's cousin, the husband's uncle. They are non-mahrams to the woman. Because for example, you and your father are mahrams to your what? To your wife. She's your wife already. And your father can sit with her, can discuss things with her because she is his daughter. But then your brother, no. Your cousin, no. Your uncle, no. Let's understand this. And sometimes in our African culture, we are a big family, man. She's our wife. No. There's nothing like our wife. She's only one person's wife. So if a brother dies, sometimes they do it to let, maybe the woman is a good woman. She didn't give them troubles. And then her husband dies. They want her to remain in the family. So they encourage the brother, why don't you marry your brother's wife? Or maybe they had kids and they are young ones. if she leaves after her waiting period, she's going to go with the kids, or the kids want to go with her, to let the kids remain, under the care of the family and stuff like that. They encourage, the brother to marry what? The deceased brother's wife. There's nothing wrong with that, unless there is force. If they are forcing her, then that's haram. But then to talk to her, to not in the waiting period too. Not in the waiting period. After her 4 months and 10 days is over, fine. You give her that proposition. Okay, can you, brother, marry? There's nothing wrong with that within the deen. Even when the brother is not dead, and then he divorces the wife, within the Sharia, you can go and marry her, but it's going to bring a problem in the family. So we sometimes don't encourage that. But then within the Sharia is lawful that your brother divorces a woman. You can marry her within the Sharia, but then just prepare for a third world war in your family. Is problematic. So sometimes the fact that something is legal within the Sharia, it is not conducive in the atmosphere that you find yourself in. So my brother divorces his wife, and then I go marry her. Within the Sharia, it's not haram. But then it's going to create problems in the family. Why did I divorce her and you're going to go and marry her and stuff like that? The best is to leave it. So the only thing that prevents marriage is one, blood relations, and then secondly, breastfeeding. If a woman breastfeeds you and another woman, there's no marriage between the two of you. And I saw a case like that. I think it happened in Nigeria. One of our sheikhs mentioned it, that two people, they got married. They had kids. And one old lady got, later she said, no. I breastfed the two of you. The marriage had to be dissolved. Because according to the Sharia, it's wrong. So they dissolved the marriage. And they loved each other, but then that is the Sharia. Okay, what about the kids? They are not illegitimate kids. The kids are not illegitimate kids because they got married without knowing. So the kids were born within that marriage, even though the marriage is null and void. But then they will inherit the father. Because it is not a deliberate act of what? Bringing the kids to the dunya outside marriage. Allah alam. Another question? I paused so that we can have the rest of the time for questions. So I think we have about 10 more minutes before Salah. So if not, I can go back and continue drinking my attire. Allah alam. Naam, Utbah.
He's not the same tribe as the Prophet.
Utbah to Ibn Rabi'a, I think he's from Banu Makhzum. Because, the Quraysh had, different families and different tribes. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ from Banu Hashim. And Banu Hashim and Banu Makhzum were rivals. And Banu Hashim, they had, status. They were like celebrities, but they didn't have money. But Banu Makhzum were wealthy. So, even though they were all into business, it got to a point whereby Banu Makhzum were becoming stronger than Banu Hashim. Then all of a sudden, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came out from Banu Hashim as a prophet. And this is even one of the reasons why Abu Jahl didn't accept Islam. That no, we were competing with these people like two horses, neck to neck. Then when we were now about to, win, this orphan boy comes and then he says he's a prophet. No, we are not going to accept it. Oh, yes. Because, and Utbah ibn Rabi'a, this man, he is the father of Hindu. Hind bint Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan. That is her father. And her brother, Ayyash ibn Rabi'a, I've forgotten his name, Ayyash. Someone like, he's also, someone who accepted Islam, her brother. And Her brother is called Abu Hudhaifa. And he had, a servant by name Salim. And Salim is amongst the people that the Prophet Muhammad said, learn the Quran from them. And this Salim was a servant. He was a slave. He was a former slave. And the Prophet Muhammad said, learn Quran from him. And so this is the kind of family that you have, Utbah ibn Rabi'a. And Utbah ibn Rabi'a, after that encounter with the Prophet Muhammad even though he didn't accept Islam, he didn't accept Islam. He never spoke ill of the Prophet Muhammad again. But do you know what happened? At the Battle of Badr, he went to Battle of Badr and he was killed. I think it was Hamza who killed him. Between Hamza and Sayyidina Ali, one of them killed him. And then when they were going for the Battle of Badr, they asked him, but aren't you a supporter of Muhammad? He said, it is the Quraysh that are going to war. And it doesn't matter who they are going to fight. I'm a person of Quraysh and I'm going to war with my people. So he was killed there. He was amongst the 3 people who came out, as, a first line of battle before the main battle starts. Utbah ibn Rabi'a. That's who he was. He comes from a very big family. And they were very wealthy, very, very rich. His daughter is Hind, the wife of Abu Sufyan. And the sister of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And Muawiyah was astaghfirullah, he was one of the secretaries of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam married his sister. We call her Ramla bint Abi Sufyan, Habiba Ramla bint Abi Sufyan. They call her is Ummul Masakin or Ummul Aitam. I've forgotten one of her nicknames. So if you observe the Sahaba at the Battle of Badr, it was like sons facing their fathers, cousins facing their fathers. That is why the Sahaba, speaking about them, we need to be very careful. Speaking about them. Because these are people who stood face to face their fathers holding swords. Face to face their cousins holding swords. Face to face their brothers holding swords. It's not easy. It's not easy. That you go to war, you're on one side, and your father, your biological father, is standing at one side, and you see your fellow Muslim thrust a sword in the heart of your father and kill him, and you don't do anything. So the Almighty Allah said, "Radiyallahu anhum wa radu anhu," is not just for fun. That the Almighty Allah said that, because they went through a lot. They went through a lot of emotional stress. They went through a lot of psychological stress. They went through a lot of physical challenges. They went through a lot of economic challenges for the deen to be established. And then you and I today come and then we want to play with the deen. We are not doing them any justice when we play with the deen. Because imagine now going to Hajj. We go by airplanes. 12 hours and then you are in Jeddah. When they are traveling from Medina to Mecca, it takes them a week. And look at Mecca and Medina. Just 500 kilometers. It takes them a week. And you are going around almost 10,000 miles. And you go within 12 hours. You reach. And then now, in Hajj, look at all these air-conditioned tents. And all these paved ways, streets. And even on the streets, they have all these poles that are sprinkling water on you. You go into the haram, it's all air-conditioned. And all this stuff. And then we still find difficulty in doing Hajj. And then look at what they went through in all those years. So, berating the Sahaba and ridiculing them and calling them names is very dangerous for your Iman and Aqidah. We are not saying that they are not human beings. They are human beings. They made errors, they made mistakes. But then the sacrifice that they made for the deen is what you and I are enjoying today, free of charge. Free of charge. May Almighty Allah safeguard us. Now, another question? Now.
It's about Hira.
Now.
Hira.
No.
Some people try to go there.
Now.
I know it's like, is it
Now.
Is it actually of any?
People who go to Makkah and then They want to go to Mount Hira. Mount Hira, Ghar al-Hira, Jabal al-Rahma, Ghar al-Hira. Going there has nothing to do with Hajj. It's not part of the activities of Hajj. If you go there, you are going sightseeing. Because it is not stipulated in the deen that go to Mount Hira, go and perform 2 rakahs there. It's not part of our deen. Because people who go to Mecca are in 3 types, 3 different groupings. The first group are people who, because of the exaggerated love, because we cannot say that people who go to Mecca and go to Mount Hira and then they go here and then they don't love the deen. They love the deen. Because you cannot take out thousands of dollars and then go to Mecca and then we say you don't love the deen. No, they love the deen. Let's be careful about when we disagree with people, when the people do something that is not required of them in any Islamic activity. Let's not be quick to pull iman out of their hearts and say these people, they don't believe in Allah, they don't love Allah. No, they love. It's love for the deen that makes people go there. We know of rich people who do not care about going to Mecca. They don't care. So these people who go to Mecca is love for the deen, but then they exaggerate in the love that they show for the deen. So they go to Ghar Hira, they go and perform 2 rakahs there. It is not sanctioned in the deen. So you have people like that who, before they go to Mecca, they don't learn anything about the deen. And going to Mecca, as I said the last time, is very, very, very important. Mecca is not like Philadelphia. Let me give you an example. In Philly here, if you find a lost item and then you pick it up, you look for the person for 3 months. In another ruling, you look for the person for 1 year. After 3 months, if you don't find the person, it is yours. That's the deen. Even if the person comes back and you've already used the thing, within the Sharia court, you will not be held accountable. That is our deen. But in Mecca, if you see something that is lost, and then you pick it up to look for the person, you look for the person until the day you die. That is the ruling in Mecca. So that is why they've stationed all those security guys in Mecca. If you find something missing, you pick it up, you give it to them. So if something of yours is missing, you have a place where you go to and report it, they'll find it for you. So you don't pick people's things in Mecca to say, I'm going to keep it for them. You have to look for the person until you die. You are in Philadelphia, what's going to happen to you? That's one. Number 2, you see those birds in the haram, you don't scare them. The moment you do hush to them and then they are scared, you must slaughter a ram to compensate for that. So going to Mecca is a 4-year course. You need to study before you go. You don't have any excuse. You see those trees in Mecca, if they grew naturally, it is not you who planted them or it's not another person who planted them. If they grew naturally, the moment you pluck a leaf from them, you must slaughter a ram to compensate. If you cut down a whole tree, some of the scholars say you have to slaughter a whole camel to compensate. So the first group of people who go to Mecca, they have excessive, love and exaggeration for the deen. They go, they do nafilah here, they go here, they run around. The main act of ibadah in Mecca, they lose it. Because they are running around doing things that is not required of them. The second group are people who do not care. This first group, they have genuine love, but then it's an exaggerated love. The second group, they don't care. They go to Mecca and then they are sleeping in their hotels. When salah in the masjid there is equal to 100,000 salah in our masjid here. And then you go to Mecca and then you sleep in your hotel. You don't go to the haram. No. They don't care. They just do whatever they want to do. These are the second group. The third group are people who learn the deen. They ask questions. They let the imams do audios for them or write things for them. They have it next to them. If you go to haram, you see all those things. You see people holding papers and then, going through, read. It's not shameful. It's not an act of shame that you ask and then you get, the papers. It's like you're going to write an exam. You need help. So please, from now to next year, those of us who intend to go to Mecca, please start learning now. Because some people, we go here, We want to go and do the salah here. We want to go to visit this masjid. We want to go to this place and that place. When the main bonus of good deeds are there, and then we run away from them, and we are running around. I want to go to Gharul Hira. Why don't you go to Gharul Thawr, where the Prophet did hijrah in the deep of the desert? Go there where he hid in the cave with Abu Bakr. Go there too. I'm not belittling people who go to Gharul Hira. No, don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is that when they choose to go there, it is tourism that they've gone. It is not an act of ibadah. And we need to know, even in Medina, it's not everywhere we go. For example, Masjid al-Qiblatain, it's not a place that you need to go and perform 2 rakats. No. You can go and see the masjid. I went and I saw the masjid. I didn't even enter. The guy said, won't you enter? I said, there's no need for me to enter. Masjid al-Quba, if you go, you enter the masjid, you perform 2 rakats, because the Prophet Muhammad said, perform 2 rakats there. Uhud, you go to Uhud, you visit the gravesite of Uhud, you pray for the martyrs there. But then the masjid there at Uhud, there is nothing there that you must perform 2 rakat in the masjid in Uhud. It's not needed. Some people want to mount Jabal Rumat, climb there, do 2. It is not needed. Just save yourselves. Just learn the deen, go there, see the places, and make sure you perform the act. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum. Wa iyyakum inshallah.